All right. What is up, guys? How we doing? Whew. Big heavy week. It was pretty wild last week. We did really well. We're going to go over just our crypto for right now since it's the weekend. We had a lot of data coming out this week. It's wild. We got China news with the deals. We have a couple different Fed meetings. I think we got some more data coming out during the week. So it'd be interesting to see what's going on this week, which a lot of it can change our focus on our perception of how these stocks are going to perform. But let's just take a look at crypto first. For Ethereum, we wrote this article a little while ago, talked about what our expectations could be with these buyers right here. Let's just see how it played out. Boom. And the thing is it blasted right past these sellers that were here, right past them. So whatever sellers were there, this is looking very, very, very bullish on a longer term. On a longer term, this could really go. I mean, we're at all-time highs on Ethereum, right? No, no. Okay, all-time highs is 4864. Really, I don't even know about these sellers here. Let me see, bigger time frame maybe. Yeah, I think we're going to rip right past these sellers. I think Ethereum's going to see all-time highs unless we get bad data next week. All-time highs are inbound for Ethereum. If you caught this trade, I think I barely would have got, yeah, just barely would have got stopped out on this trade, which is unfortunate. But I mean, that's the name of the game with those tariffs. Still, the idea was perfect. The idea itself was perfect. We just would have taken a little lick on that stop. I didn't personally get into Ethereum, but that was one of the trade ideas. Let's move to XRP. XRP, another chart looking very strong. Now, XRP's already had a big run. It's had a really big run. So what can tend to happen is it can start to lose its legs a little bit, whereas these more compressed altcoins like Dogecoins and these other coins, Litecoin and stuff, they can start to catch big buyers, and they might have a little bit more a little bit more upside in the shorter term, probably the next 3 months, whereas XRP fundamentally might have more legs in the long term. But let's see where we're at on XRP. Yep, caught our strong buyers down here, protected ourselves, and if you guys were in this trade, your stop should probably be moved up. Let me see here. Your stop should probably be moved up to like, legit probably like 285. Should be really, really tight now, because now if we dip down into these strong sellers again, it's going to put more pressure on there. Really, these new buyers that just stepped in here, these guys should have a lot of conviction coming. Oops, sorry, move this out of the way. These new buyers that are here should have a lot of conviction coming into the market. So this should have a lot of pressure for that upside, and I really do see us coming up and hitting this 467 on XRP. Next, we have Doge. So Doge, another one which is pretty intense. Let's see where we're at here on Doge. Man, I couldn't believe how well of a entry we got on Doge. That was crazy. That entry is just pinpoint perfect. And then you have some new buying interest stepping in on Doge. A commenter asked me, like, how do I see this bounce? And we just, if you can see this, we just closed this candle. All right, we just closed this candle here. So if I was to get rid of this line, we can see a little bit more clearly. This trade's out of play now because that trade's done. But yeah, you see we ran right into these strong sellers and tapped that bottom of supply here. So sellers are still active here, but same thing. We took out a major seller here already, these guys, and this thing could just keep running. This thing can keep running. It really does depend on this, though. If we can't get above this supply here, we could see a test back down here, and that's going to tend to be a little bit more bearish. But even if we get a scenario where we come up, test, and then come down, I think that these buyers here will step in. So you might get your little bounce, but I think it'll run again. So that's something to keep in mind with Doge. Now, as far as Doge and XRP, as far as ceilings go, I took these take profits as just headings from what we've ran to in the past. But if for those of you that are holding into a long term, you don't necessarily need to take profit at these levels. I just know that this is going to be some headwinds. So I took out probably 30% of my Doge when I sold into the bottom of supply. just because if we do get a big steep pullback, I can just double dip, right? And if we get some crazy data, again, in when we're talking in terms of swinging and just trying to finesse these longer holds, it's okay for me to take a little off the table. If I was trading a system strict on the intraday, I probably wouldn't do that. It'd probably be a little different. You can take partials intraday, but I prefer to just be very surgical. All right, so that is it for Doge, XRP, and Ethereum. Now we're going to look at our trading system. So last week we traded every day. We ended up getting our account funded, which is to be expected. But let's just go over a couple of the days. Last week was very, I want to say, Wall Street influenced. You had these really big rips right off the open. Now, why are they buying off the open instead of another time on the market? The reason why they buy off the open is because you have orders pending overnight. You might have shorts trying to suppress market pre-market and then covering in the morning, so they're preparing for big buyers and they might be covering. So a lot of this is going to have different, it's going to add to different convictions in the market. So not everything's just linear, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to show you a couple examples of how we know that there's a little bit of some manipulation going on. And manipulation is not, in my opinion, negative, because it's just a part of the game, right? It's more of, if you can identify it, it's going to help you stay convicted in your positions. So looking at the charts here, we had a big rip right off the open. And there was a bit of chop going around, but really it held up really well. Finally, we got this red candle here that slapped down, but just caught more buyers, and they just held strong, ate them back up. So once we're at that point where these buyers have hung in so strong and we start to break above this level here, this is really bullish. This is really bullish. You got new buying interest supporting this. You can expect another leg up. These buyers aren't buying just to buy the top. They're buying for another, oops, this is the wrong tool. They're buying to accumulate for a longer period of time. Even intraday traders are buying to at least look for a one-to-one, unless you're a partial scalper, which is pretty rare. So you'll tend to see that these legs will move up even pre-market, because the market does a good job suppressing them and keeping those price action down. But the longer they suppress them, sometimes the bigger of a reaction, bigger, more violent move will get to the up or the downside. So we took this trade. This ended up being a losing day for us. Try to catch this second run here with a couple different buyers. Just didn't work out. So we ended up closing back down, losing about 12 points on this trade. Not too bad. That's very manageable. And then I don't remember what happens pre-market. Did we go up a little bit? Yeah, so if you were to look at this leg, let's see if it would actually measure up another leg here. So if you took this to this, just shy of that leg. Just shy, but that's about the portion that we would expect. Now, looking into the next day, we took a short right off the open. We saw new strong aggressors coming in the market, and they were looking to push this down, so they did. We ended up getting 63 points off that move. Didn't really get an entry here on the second leg. It was ramping up really aggressive. I personally don't like shorting into really aggressive selling like that, because it can also be a sign of exhaustion from sellers. So I just personally stay away from it. Almost caught along here. This was just right outside the criteria of my reversal pattern. And then we ended up just catching a little 2-bar aggressor here for 28 points. So this was a total of 92 points. So I think we're probably up 80 points now on the week. Wednesday was tricky, and this is one of those days where you can kind of understand when a short squeeze is coming into play. So we had initial up, down, up candle, super tight range. In a 15-minute, that's basically a doji, very small bar. Kind of comes up again a couple bars and then gets slapped down, but cannot break these initial buyers over here. That's really important to note that, because if they can't break these initial aggressors on the market, and we end up closing above these previous sellers here, this is very bullish. This is looking to add a lot of pressure to the upside. And in particular, our system took a short here. With the context, it is just portion of the rules. This works majority of the time, and at 1.75, 2.0 risk to reward, it's a profitable trade. So we ended up getting stopped out, but as soon as I got stopped out on this trade, I understood the context of a short squeeze. We were able to really profit off of this short squeeze. We had a lot of entries our system did. So a total, we had 45 points here, 39 points here, 47 points, 48 points, 47 points, 12 points. Different trading ideas going into this, a lot of different traps, catching good momentum from buyers here. And we were able to capitalize on just a monster 213 point day. And what's crazy is that day didn't even really come from this trend right here, right? It was all pocketed in this little, what I like to call an umbrella trade. So a beautiful umbrella trade. These are some of the most profitable trades with this system. You'll get some crazy days with this umbrella strategy. So here's the day that I'm talking about. Super algorithmic. Now, if you don't really know, we're trending down, but look how wicky it is. There's so many wicks, a bunch of candles engulfing each other. It's very, now two things can kind of cause this. Let's say that, well, I shouldn't say two things, more than two things, but in theory, let's say the ES or the S&P is very strong, but the NASDAQ's weak. This can tend to cause some of this divergence in the market, and it'll start to look really sloppy. So if NASDAQ was really strong here, but ES was diving, people were still buying the NASDAQ, and that's putting pressure against it. So this is when you'll see some of this context here. But that also means that well, that's one explanation. The other explanation would be market makers are trying to suppress this price action to make money on options. So if they're suppressing the price action the whole time, eventually, per their budget, they're going to get exhausted. They're going to have to cover once we call it flipping the switch, once they're done flipping the switch. And then they'd have to cover and it go up towards whatever, right? This is when you see your price action getting really clean. Or, this is theory, I know it might be boring, but theory, or you're going to catch this move down, and as soon as the ES is done selling off, if the NASDAQ was strong, then it would pop back up really strong and aggressive. So those are a couple different things to keep in mind. We were able to profit from this. We took, I think, 2 winners, 2 losers. We had a big 74-point trade in the morning, and then another 39-point trade. I'm sorry, 3 winners, 2 losers. 39, 34, and then this 38 minus trade here. Tried to catch a trap out of this, but it just had a little bit more to go here, and it dumped. And we tried to catch this new momentum because this actually looked really promising, and then we ended up getting stopped on that at the end of the day. So system ended up taking 51 points, and I think this is Thursday, so Friday. All right. Friday, we had a couple different ideas here. Big, strong rip in the morning, ended up catching some new momentum in the morning for a 1-to-1 trade. We're looking for these buyers to continue stepping up. Now, Friday is always tricky. Friday is tricky because since the options expire that day on majority of the stocks, it can be very difficult to, let me get this out of the way. It can be very difficult for your normal action, normal price action, normal volume to work. Because market makers are looking to play in their best interests on that day. It's no big deal. That's just how it is on Friday. There's other factors too that are involved, but for the most part, that's another thing to consider. And then, if you guys know about triple witching or quadruple witching on the markets, this all could get really crazy. We're going to start going into different quarters, looking towards forecast at the end of the year. But it's important to note that on Fridays, things can get a little funky, and it's important that you stay really grounded on Fridays. So we took that new momentum, got stopped out in the second momentum, tried to take advantage of this momentum here, and we had to take this stop. It says right here, but really the stop was right here. We held this trade for hours. It was a forever trade. 2, almost 3 hours of holding. I cannot stand holding for 3 hours. It's the worst. The average trades on this is only, I think these average trades is probably like 25 minutes, 20 minutes on average. So 3 hours is exhausting. So we took 57 points on this day. Now for a total, weekend total of 473.5 points. Really excellent for the program. So this worked out really well. Yeah, really well. And that's what we have with that. Oh yes, so let me see here. Let's go to our Robinhood. So you can't see the number right here, but let me see here. How do I get this to show the number? You guys can't see it really. So we're trying to nurse a $100 account up. So, oh man, I wish you guys could see the amount. Let me see if I can get it down here a little bit. There we go. So 333, this is actually 433. I took 100 out to fund the XFA for the tax. I just keep my accounts together. So I'll be redepositing that 100 in, but let me see if I can show you guys. So it should show 0 here. There we go, 0 here. And this is, or yeah, $2.28. So this is the initial. This one I initially put 100 in. I don't know why Robinhood does it like that. It gets weird, but and then we're at where we are at now, which is our 333, 329, whatever it is right now, 333 plus 100. So 433.33. Oh, perfect. Look at that, 333.33. So that's where we're sitting at with the options account right now. We took a couple bad trades Friday, but like we went on like a 7-day winning streak. It was crazy for options. I did a couple filming. I failed filming at a couple of them. I got screenshots of a couple of them instead of recording my screen. Horrible, horrible. So anyways, yeah, that was it. It was pretty chill. I was trading while I was doing other things, doing a bit of work. And yeah, we're trying to get push this go full time. If you guys haven't followed me on X, follow me on X. We're going to give out some live trades on X, as well as TradingView. We're going to be publishing articles constantly for TradingView. So I appreciate you guys watching this, if you watched all the way through, and I hope you guys have